I'll begin on my first word. Let's talk about time after the American Revolutionary War. It was amazing. We got our first kind of constitution set up. We had the Articles of Confederation, which ended up failing a lot. But because of that, because of how people got so mad, we got Shays' Rebellion, which was the next rebellion in the American colonies right after the American Revolutionary War, and it ended up not going so well for the American government, as it was really successful for the people, as they were able to destroy a lot of infrastructure and ultimately just do a lot of damage. This was also done after the Articles of Confederation was torn apart, and then as we made the new Constitution, the one we have today, we had Whiskey Rebellion, which did not do as well as that, and that was because of our new infrastructure, our new Constitution, and being able to take care of it in a timely manner. And with that, we get Thomas Jefferson, who was elected, and in 1807 came up with this thing called the Insurrection Act. Now, this act, I believe, is just more proof of Thomas Jefferson's paranoia. And that is because of, due to these, he realized like there needs to be a way to put rest civil revolutions and unorganization that's just causing chaos and harm to the infrastructure of our country. And that is why he put that into place. But since it's been 200 years since then, and I think it might be time for a change. My question was, how should we change or amend the Insurrection Act? And my answer is yes, we should, because of one, how outdated it is. Secondly, the abuse that it has been used for in the past. And finally, because of how we can still address the disparity of abuse while still making it effective. First, I'd like to talk about how outdated this is. You can understand at the time of when it was uh, put into our legislator, how we had two big history-known revolutions during this time from the people trying to take down the government, and each of them were thankfully put down. And of course, that was that time. However, we have had so much more time of not having any kind of civil unrest and civil revolution with that. And for that, it might be time to ease off a bit because of how we have not had any violence like that in the past 100 years in America. And because of that, we should be able to put some restrictions on it, as it isn't as vastly needed as it is back then. Secondly, the abuse that it has been used for. Of course, it hasn't been used that much, an abuse like that, but it has been threatened to. A good example of a president that did this was Donald Trump. Donald Trump has threatened to use it 2 times, one of them in the year 2020. According to an article published by NPR on June 2nd, 2020, it talks about how Trump was really mad about the not the George Floyd protests, yes, it is the George Floyd protests actually, about how they are just really annoying, and he threatened that if they don't bring the National Guard, he'll use the Insurrection Act, which will bring the military over to take care of them without any sort of decision making by the Congress or the judicial system, which is obviously a big disparity that we need to take care of. This was also done pretty recently, about 5 months ago in June of 2025, according to an article published on June 10th, 2025 by the Brennan Center for the Justice System. It explains how because of all these No King protests and the stopping of ICE in several states, he finds this an obvious reason to once again use this act to bring the National Guard into play and use this to put the civil unrest down that obviously just doesn't exist. Because of this, there obviously needs to be a stand for this. He cannot keep abusing this, and future presidents cannot keep abusing this. So therefore, we need to put checks and balances in with other systems of the government that would help majorly to keep this act in check. And one way to do that, the problem with this is it still needs to be effective in case there is an actual threat that needs to be dealt with that doesn't just go through the system over and over, like Congress debates about it for a week, and by then there's already a lot of damage that is done. And because of that, we need a way to address that disparity without removing its effectiveness or its efficiency. And I'm here to tell you that there is a way to do that. Into my third point, there is a way to address this without getting rid of our efficiency and effectiveness. And that can be done in two major ways. According to a press release done by Senator Padilla on June 20th, 2025, she explains there are two major ways we can do this. First, we can define what threat is and what civil unrest would be, because obviously with the definition stated now, Trump has every legal right to get the National Guard involved and take care of this. We need to be able to define what is technically a revolution and civil unrest and be able to limit it to that instead of just getting rid of any protest whenever he feels like it and other presidents feel like it. Secondly, we can make it so that it's like Congress can be involved, but with a limited time. It needs to be top priority because this can be a threat if revolutions do come into play and a lot of damage is done to our government infrastructure and just America as a whole. And we need to be able to take care of that by giving it maybe a 2 to 3 day decision that needs to be of top priority. Of course, this is definitely something that needs to be taken care of. And with that, I conclude my speech.